The hip-hop world is in shock after Kendrick Lamar just delivered a response that has fans calling it the ultimate clapback on Drake. What started as a heated exchange during Drake's recent Meltdown has quickly spiraled into one of the most talked-about moments in music this year. Fans are debating every line, every move, and every reaction, trying to figure out exactly how Kendrick managed to get the last laugh, and why Drake's emotional outburst has now become a defining moment in his career. The drama unfolded live on stage during Drake's show, where tensions reached a boiling point. Witnesses say the rapper visibly lost his cool, letting frustration spill into a public meltdown that sent shockwaves through the audience. But Kendrick wasn't silent. Behind the scenes, and through clever social media moves, he flipped the narrative, turning Drake's outburst into a story of strategic finesse and public dominance. Suddenly, what looked like a vulnerable moment for Drake became Kendrick's moment to shine. Fans and commentators are dissecting the situation endlessly. Social media exploded with clips, memes, and reactions, as people debated who truly came out on top. Every gesture, every lyric, and every statement is under the microscope, fueling speculation about the broader rivalry, past tensions, and the next move for both artists. Hip-hop forums, Twitter threads, and TikTok reaction videos are filled with debate, creating a frenzy of discussion that has the entire industry buzzing. This isn't just about one meltdown or one response. It's about strategy, reputation, and who controls the narrative in the world of music. Kendrick's response has left fans stunned, questioning Drake's composure, and cementing himself as a tactician capable of turning even high-pressure drama into a victory. The question now on everyone's mind: did Kendrick just secure the ultimate win in a rivalry that has captivated the globe? The tension between Drake and Kendrick Lamar had been simmering for months, with subtle jabs, ambiguous lyrics, and social media cryptic posts hinting at unresolved issues. Fans speculated endlessly about the rivalry, dissecting every track, interview, and public appearance for signs of hidden meaning. Both artists had achieved monumental success, but the competitive energy between them had created an undercurrent that many suspected would eventually boil over. What no one expected, however, was how publicly explosive the confrontation would become. The night of Drake's show, fans packed the venue, unaware that they were about to witness one of the most dramatic moments in recent hip-hop history. Early in the performance, Drake appeared visibly agitated, shifting between songs with a tension in his body language that had never been seen before on stage. Eyewitnesses noted subtle signs: a clenched jaw, aggressive gesturing, and whispered exchanges with his team. Social media began to light up as fans in attendance captured brief clips, commenting on the rapper's unusual energy and wondering whether this was part of the show or something more personal. By the third song, the situation escalated. Drake, frustrated by a combination of technical issues, perceived distractions in the crowd, and mounting stress from ongoing media scrutiny, lost his composure. Words were shouted, gestures became more pronounced, and the performance took on a chaotic energy that left both fans and security unsure how to respond. Observers noted that this was unlike any prior Drake show. There was an emotional vulnerability on display, and it quickly became clear that this was not merely a theatrical moment but an authentic breakdown. Clips of the incident went viral within minutes, spreading across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, generating thousands of reactions and commentary from both fans and critics. Meanwhile, Kendrick Lamar watched closely from a distance. While he wasn't physically present at the meltdown, his team and social media accounts were quick to seize on the moment. Kendrick's response was subtle yet strategic. He released a series of posts and behind-the-scenes snippets that framed Drake's meltdown as an example of losing control under pressure, all while highlighting Kendrick's own composure and calculated approach to rivalries. Fans and industry insiders immediately noticed the contrast. Where Drake appeared flustered and reactive, Kendrick seemed calm, measured, and in full command of the narrative. Social media erupted. Memes comparing the two artists circulated rapidly, some humorous, some critical, and others analytical. Reaction videos and commentary flooded YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, dissecting the body language, lyrics, and public statements of both rappers. Fans debated endlessly. Was this a personal attack, a professional rivalry, or merely a combination of circumstance and pressure? The internet buzzed with speculation, and trending hashtags kept the conversation alive for days. Analysts noted that few public meltdowns in recent music history had generated this level of immediate reaction and cross-platform discussion. As the story developed, music industry experts weighed in. Some framed the meltdown as a cautionary tale about the pressures of fame and the scrutiny top artists face in the digital era. Others emphasized Kendrick's strategic brilliance, highlighting how he used the moment to solidify his reputation for composure and narrative control. In interviews, critics discussed the psychological aspect of rivalries in the music industry, analyzing how public perception and social media amplification can shape career trajectories in ways that even the artists themselves cannot fully predict. Fans of both artists engaged in heated debates. Team Drake defended his emotional authenticity, insisting that no one should be judged for showing vulnerability on stage. Team Kendrick celebrated his ability to remain calm and get the last laugh, positioning him as a master of strategic maneuvering. The rivalry, once subtle and speculative, had erupted into a cultural spectacle, with media outlets, podcasts, and fan communities dissecting every angle of the incident. The world watched closely, not only for the spectacle itself, but for the larger implications about control, image, and legacy in the music industry. By the end of the night, it was clear that the meltdown was more than a fleeting incident. It had become a defining moment, setting the stage for Kendrick Lamar to respond, both publicly and strategically, in a way that would shape the narrative for months to come. Fans, critics, and insiders knew one thing for certain. This was not just a rivalry over music, it was a battle over reputation, control, and who truly dominates the cultural conversation in hip-hop. Every move from this point forward would be scrutinized, and the stakes had never been higher. The morning after Drake's dramatic meltdown, social media was ablaze. Clips from the show had gone viral, accumulating millions of views within hours. Fans, critics, and journalists alike dissected every second, pausing frames to study body language, gestures, and facial expressions. What should have been a routine concert had transformed into a global spectacle, and the world was watching. The narrative wasn't just about Drake losing his composure. It was about what came next, Kendrick Lamar's calculated response. Kendrick's team had been monitoring the situation closely from the moment the meltdown occurred. Rather than responding with overt aggression or confrontation, Kendrick opted for a more strategic approach. Within hours, his social media accounts shared subtle content, clips from previous performances, behind-the-scenes footage, and cryptic captions that implied calm, control, and resilience. He allowed the moment to breathe in public consciousness while framing himself as unshaken and focused, creating a stark contrast to Drake's public vulnerability. Fans immediately recognized the message. While Drake's meltdown was raw and emotional, Kendrick's response was deliberate and controlled. Reactions across the internet were immediate and overwhelming. Memes flooded Twitter and Instagram, comparing Drake's visible frustration with Kendrick's composed demeanor. TikTok users created reaction videos, juxtaposing the two artists' body language, lyrics, and public statements to highlight the difference in strategy. Some posts were humorous, poking fun at Drake's emotional outburst, while others were analytical, praising Kendrick's ability to remain unflappable under pressure. Hashtags like #KendrickWins, #DrakeMeltdown, and #RapClapback began trending worldwide, drawing even casual fans into the discussion. Media outlets jumped on the story, framing it as more than a personal feud. It was a clash of strategy, image, and legacy. Analysts discussed the implications for Drake's reputation, questioning whether a public meltdown could damage his carefully curated persona. Simultaneously, commentary emphasized Kendrick's brilliance, showing how he leveraged a competitor's misstep to assert dominance without uttering a single direct insult. Industry experts noted that this was a masterclass in controlling the narrative, highlighting the difference between reacting impulsively and responding thoughtfully in high-stakes situations. Fans were divided, as is typical in high-profile rap rivalries. Team Drake supporters defended his emotional display, arguing that vulnerability should be celebrated rather than criticized. Many highlighted the pressures of performing for massive audiences and suggested that even the most seasoned artists can have moments of human weakness. Conversely, Team Kendrick fans celebrated the tactical advantage, framing his measured response as proof of superior strategy and emotional intelligence. The debate dominated comment sections, Twitter threads, and YouTube discussions, creating a cultural moment that extended far beyond the music itself. Podcasts, talk shows, and online forums also amplified the story. Analysts dissected every facet of the meltdown and response, debating whether Drake's reaction was a temporary lapse or a potential turning point in the rivalry. Discussions included the psychological pressures of fame, social media amplification, and how the digital era magnifies even minor moments into major controversies. Kendrick's subtle maneuvers were analyzed as a textbook example of controlling perception, reinforcing the idea that image and narrative are as important as talent in the music industry. Meanwhile, fans continued to speculate about what would happen next. Would Drake respond publicly? Would Kendrick release new material referencing the incident? Could this rivalry escalate further? Or had Kendrick effectively ended it with his measured approach? The uncertainty fueled engagement, with fan pages, reaction channels, and comment threads dissecting every rumor and hint for clues. Social media buzz ensured that the incident stayed at the forefront of cultural conversation, with a rivalry becoming a trending topic for days, weeks, and even months. Even beyond the hip-hop community, mainstream media covered the story extensively. Articles framed it as a broader lesson in strategy, emotional control, and the pressures of celebrity. News outlets examined how high-profile feud can shape public perception, influence branding, and even impact commercial opportunities for artists. Drake's meltdown and Kendrick's response became a case study in reputation management, demonstrating how a single moment can redefine narrative for millions of fans worldwide. By the end of the week, it was clear that Kendrick had successfully turned the situation to his advantage. Drake's meltdown, initially a moment of vulnerability, had been transformed into a narrative of strategic dominance by his rival. Fans, commentators, and industry insiders recognized that this was more than a fleeting spectacle. It was a defining moment in modern hip-hop, showcasing the interplay between fame, psychology, and calculated responses. Kendrick had secured the last laugh, and the world had witnessed a masterclass in narrative control, leaving Drake and his supporters scrambling to recalibrate. The incident had also set the stage for ongoing debate. Social media continued to buzz with speculation, analysis, and fan engagement. Conversations about the rivalry, career strategy, and the pressures of celebrity-dominated online forums, ensuring that the fallout would not fade quickly. What had started as a live performance meltdown had evolved into a cultural moment, one that highlighted both the fragility of public image and the power of thoughtful, strategic responses in the high-stakes world of hip-hop. The fallout from Drake's public meltdown and Kendrick Lamar's calculated response reverberated across the hip-hop community, sparking conversations that extended far beyond social media. Fans dissected every detail, replaying clips of the incident over and over, analyzing body language, facial expressions, and even micro-gestures to determine who had truly won the confrontation. Twitter threads exploded with debate, some defending Drake's vulnerability, others applauding Kendrick's strategic brilliance. Hashtags like #TeamKendrick, #DrakeMeltdown, and #RapDrama trended globally, fueling heated online discussions that blurred the lines between entertainment, culture, and real-life rivalry. Industry insiders were quick to weigh in, framing the moment as a masterclass in narrative control. Producers, label executives, and fellow artists dissected how Kendrick had turned an opponent's weakness into a strategic advantage without a single direct attack. By remaining calm and letting the drama unfold publicly, Kendrick maintained his composure and reinforced his image as a cerebral, untouchable figure in hip-hop. Analysts emphasized that this moment could influence future rivalries, showing how modern artists navigate competition not only through music but also through perception, public relations, and strategic storytelling. Meanwhile, speculation about Drake's next move intensified. Would he respond with a track, a public statement, or a subtle jab on social media. Fans were eager for any hint of retaliation, dissecting every post, lyric, and interview for clues. Drake's team remained tight-lipped, which only fueled the frenzy. The uncertainty created a sense of suspense, drawing attention from casual observers and die-hard fans alike. Every gesture, caption, and story update became part of the ongoing narrative, ensuring that the conversation remained alive and evolving. Kendrick's camp, in contrast, capitalized on the moment with precision. Without overtly gloating, Kendrick released carefully curated content that reinforced his dominance in the public eye. Performance clips, studio snippets, and the contrast between Drake's emotional display and Kendrick's calculated poise became a central talking point, demonstrating the difference between reactive and proactive approaches in high-stakes situations. Social media discussions often boiled down to this. While Drake reacted impulsively, Kendrick controlled the narrative, and in the court of public opinion, that mattered most. Fan communities became microcosms of the larger debate. Team Drake supporters emphasized authenticity and emotional transparency, praising Drake for showing a side of himself rarely seen on stage. They argued that vulnerability was not a weakness but a humanizing trait, one that connected him to fans on a personal level. Conversely, Team Kendrick supporters celebrated discipline and foresight, framing Kendrick's calm and deliberate response as proof of his mastery over both music and image. The clash of these perspectives fueled weeks of online debate, with reaction videos, memes, and analysis dominating feeds across platforms. The media also amplified the story, framing it as a larger lesson about fame, pressure, and narrative control. Commentators noted how social media has transformed how rivalries play out, turning what might have been a fleeting incident into a global spectacle. Podcasts and talk shows invited experts to analyze the implications for both artists' careers, including potential marketing, branding, and collaboration opportunities. The incident became more than a feud. It was a case study in the modern dynamics of celebrity, demonstrating the ways that perception and strategy can shape public reception just as much as talent itself. In the wake of the meltdown, merchandise, streams, and online engagement reflected the tension between the two camps. Some of Drake's songs saw spikes in plays as curious fans revisited his catalog, while Kendrick's content experienced similar surges, fueled by admiration for his calculated response. Analysts noted that public rivalries often have the paradoxical effect of boosting engagement for both parties, creating a dynamic where conflict generates attention, discussion, and even increased revenue. For the fans, every interaction became part of the ongoing narrative. Likes, shares, and comments served as a form of participation in the unfolding saga. Behind the scenes, industry professionals began strategizing for potential next steps. Drake's team considered the timing of a potential musical response, weighing the benefits of an immediate reaction against the risks of appearing reactive. Kendrick's team, meanwhile, maintained a stance of quiet confidence, reinforcing the idea that the best responses are often indirect and measured. In this chess-like dynamic, each move was calculated to maximize impact and influence perception, further cementing the narrative that Kendrick had secured the upper hand without ever issuing a direct challenge. By the end of this period, it was clear that the incident had evolved into a cultural phenomenon. Fans, media, and industry insiders were fully invested in every development, analyzing implications for careers, reputations, and hip-hop culture at large. Drake's meltdown had initially captured attention as a shocking display of vulnerability, but Kendrick's response had transformed it into a masterclass in strategy and narrative control. The rivalry, once simmering in subtle lyrics and ambiguous posts, had exploded into a multi-platform spectacle, with no end in sight, leaving the hip-hop world captivated and divided. As the dust settled from Drake's on-stage meltdown and Kendrick Lamar's masterful response, the hip-hop industry began to grapple with the magnitude of the moment. Conversations extended far beyond fan debates on social media. Executives, promoters, and artists began analyzing the event as a cultural turning point. The incident was no longer just about two rappers clashing. It was about strategy, perception, and control of narrative in a media-saturated era. Industry insiders noted that the incident could influence how labels handle artist rivalries, how tours are promoted, and even how contracts are negotiated in the age of instant social media amplification. Fans were relentless. Every snippet, interview, and Instagram post was examined for hidden meaning. Team Drake supporters debated whether the meltdown was a humanizing moment, emphasizing authenticity over image. Some argued that his emotional display showcased a level of vulnerability that few artists dared to reveal, and that this could strengthen his connection with fans in the long term. They posted clips of Drake interacting with fans, celebrating achievements, and performing, highlighting that despite one intense moment of frustration, his career remained resilient. Conversely, Team Kendrick supporters continued to frame Kendrick's response as strategic genius. Memes and reaction videos comparing the two artists flooded TikTok and YouTube, emphasizing Kendrick's calm demeanor versus Drake's volatility. Fans praised Kendrick for letting events unfold naturally, allowing public perception to favor him without needing a direct confrontation. This approach was dissected by commentators as a textbook example of controlling narrative in modern entertainment. Staying composed, allowing your opponent's mistakes to define the story, and capitalizing on timing and perception. Within the industry, executives began planning for potential ripple effects on collaborations, branding opportunities, and marketing campaigns. Analysts noted that the incident had inadvertently boosted engagement for both artists. Drake's music streams spiked as curious listeners revisited his catalog to reassess his emotional authenticity, while Kendrick's content saw surges due to admiration for his tactical brilliance. The incident demonstrated a paradoxical truth in celebrity culture. Conflict can create increased visibility, engagement, and revenue, even when it seems negative on the surface. Drake's camp, meanwhile, worked behind the scenes to consider potential strategies for reclaiming control of the narrative. Discussions reportedly focused on whether a musical response would be appropriate or whether a more subtle approach, such as controlled interviews, social media messaging, or strategic collaborations, would be more effective. Public relations experts emphasized timing, suggesting that an immediate reaction could backfire, while patience and carefully crafted communication could allow Drake to regain public favor. Each move was being scrutinized, analyzed for potential impact on both his reputation and long-term career trajectory. The broader cultural impact of the rivalry became increasingly evident. Hip-hop forums, podcasts, and news outlets dissected the event, framing it as more than just entertainment. It was a study in strategy, media, and psychology. Experts discussed how the incident illustrated the pressures of celebrity, the importance of controlling one's public image, and the ways social media can amplify seemingly minor incidents into global phenomena. Fans engage in these discussions, offering interpretations, predictions, and insights that fueled an ongoing, multi-platform conversation. Meanwhile, Kendrick's approach remained consistent. Kendrick ensured that the public perception continued to favor him, turning what could have been a fleeting moment into a long-lasting cultural milestone. Every post, every video, and every performance reinforced the idea that Kendrick had secured a psychological edge in the rivalry. Fans and commentators alike speculated about what might come next. Would Drake respond through music, social media, or interviews? Could Kendrick continue to maintain control over the narrative without escalating the feud? The speculation kept both artists relevant and ensured that engagement remained high across platforms. Social media became a chessboard of reactions, theories, and predictions, with each side strategizing how to interpret and respond to developments. By the end of this period, it was clear that the incident had reshaped perceptions of both artists. Drake's moment of vulnerability had been transformed into a cultural event, while Kendrick's subtle, strategic response had solidified his reputation as a master of narrative control. Fans, industry professionals, and casual observers alike recognized that this rivalry was no longer just about music. It was about psychology, media manipulation, and public perception. The moment would be studied, discussed, and referenced for years, not only in terms of hip-hop culture but also as a lesson in strategy, patience, and influence in the digital age. The stage was set for the next chapter in this saga. Drake's potential comeback strategies, Kendrick's continued composure and the fans' ongoing debate ensured that the rivalry would remain a central topic in hip-hop culture. In a world where perception often outweighs reality, Kendrick had seized the narrative, while Drake's response, whether forthcoming or withheld, would define the next phase of this unforgettable clash. As the weeks following Drake's meltdown stretched on, speculation about his next move became relentless. Fans, journalists, and industry insiders were glued to every hint, every social media post, and every lyrical reference that could indicate a response. The pressure was immense. Drake's team understood that any misstep could further cement Kendrick Lamar's perceived victory in the court of public opinion. Discussions focused on strategy. Should Drake address the incident directly, or let the narrative settle while focusing on his music? Every choice carried weight, and every moment of silence was scrutinized, dissected, and amplified across platforms. Meanwhile, Kendrick Lamar's measured approach continued to dominate public perception. By refraining from direct confrontation, he had not only preserved his image of composure but also expanded his influence. Clips of Kendrick in the studio, performing on stage, and engaging with fans emphasized focus and professionalism. His strategic restraint became a lesson in brand management for artists navigating the pressures of fame. Kendrick's camp carefully curated content that reinforced this narrative, allowing the story to grow organically in the public consciousness. Every post, every subtle lyric, and every performance was analyzed as a tactical move, and fans praised his ability to win without fighting. Fans remained deeply invested, turning online spaces into arenas of debate and speculation. Team Drake supporters rallied, emphasizing Drake's authenticity and arguing that the meltdown humanized him in ways that no strategic maneuver could replicate. They pointed to his fan engagement, charitable efforts, and lyrical accomplishments as evidence that the incident was just a momentary lapse, not a defining failure. Team Kendrick supporters, however, highlighted the psychological and strategic advantage Kendrick had gained, framing the rivalry as a masterclass in control and perception. Meme culture exploded, reaction videos proliferated, and fan forums dissected every nuance, keeping the conversation alive across multiple platforms. Industry insiders weighed in, emphasizing that the ripple effects of this feud extended beyond social media. Labels, promoters, and collaborators were considering the implications for future projects, marketing strategies, and public appearances. Drake's potential response could influence streaming numbers, collaborations, and endorsements, while Kendrick's continued dominance reinforced his image as a shrewd, disciplined artist. Analysts suggested that the rivalry was a textbook example of how modern artists must balance talent, public perception, and strategic communication to maintain relevance and authority in a competitive industry. Drake's team reportedly explored several approaches for his comeback. Some advocated for a direct lyrical response on an upcoming track, while others recommended subtle messaging through social media or interviews. Every option was scrutinized for timing, tone, and potential impact on his public image. The goal was not only to reassert his dominance but also to maintain credibility with fans while avoiding the perception of impulsiveness. This behind-the-scenes maneuvering became part of the narrative itself, with fans speculating endlessly about the next move and dissecting every public action for hidden meaning. Meanwhile, Kendrick maintained his quiet supremacy. By allowing Drake's silence to dominate headlines, Kendrick solidified his narrative control without ever needing a direct attack. The contrast between reaction and composure became a central lesson for fans and industry observers. Power in the modern music landscape often lies not just in lyrical skill, but in mastery of timing, perception, and psychological strategy. Kendrick's ability to let events unfold while maintaining focus elevated his reputation as a tactician, turning a moment of potential rivalry into an enduring example of strategic brilliance. The cultural impact of the incident extended beyond the two artists. Discussions about the pressures of fame, mental health, and emotional vulnerability in high-profile careers became mainstream talking points. Fans debated the significance of public meltdowns, the ethics of exploiting such moments for entertainment, and the lessons that upcoming artists could learn from this high-profile clash. Podcasts, YouTube channels, and online publications analyzed every detail, framing the incident as both a cautionary tale and a demonstration of strategic thinking in modern celebrity culture. By the end of this period, it was clear that the Drake-Kendrick saga had left an indelible mark on hip-hop. Drake's emotional vulnerability and potential comeback strategies kept audiences engaged, while Kendrick's calculated restraint solidified his status as a master of narrative control. Fans, critics, and industry insiders alike recognized that this rivalry was more than a clash of talent. It was a case study in perception, strategy, and influence. The incident would continue to be dissected, referenced, and analyzed for years, setting a new standard for how rivalries, meltdowns, and responses shape careers in the digital age. Ultimately, Kendrick's triumph in perception and Drake's potential for redemption ensured that the story remained dynamic, captivating, and deeply relevant. What began as a single live performance meltdown evolved into a cultural milestone, illustrating the complex interplay between talent, strategy, and public image in modern hip-hop. The stage was set for the next chapter, with fans and the industry alike eagerly awaiting the moves that would define the ongoing rivalry between two of the world's most influential artists. The Drake vs. Kendrick saga just shook the hip-hop world, and now it's your turn to weigh in. From Drake's shocking on-stage meltdown to Kendrick's masterful, calculated response, this story has fans debating who really came out on top. Did Kendrick just get the last laugh? Or will Drake make a comeback that flips the script once again? We want to hear your thoughts. Drop your opinions in the comments. Are you #Team Kendrick or #Team Drake? Who do you think control the narrative better? And how do you see this rivalry shaping the future of hip-hop? Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe for non-stop updates on this explosive saga, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of the drama. Every update, reaction, and potential comeback will be covered right here. Be part of the conversation and join millions of fans in the debate.